A lot of women are not comfortable with how they look on camera and they start to nitpick. Yes, I had that idea of doing more of a, let's see, kind of like a walkthrough, listening, transformational, just a few minute thing to relax them before they go on camera.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Launch Your Private Podcast. Today is a case study episode, and we have an amazing guest here, Rose Caiazzo.
That's right.
Said that right?
Or in Italy, we say Caiazzo.
Caiazzo. There we go. That's what I'll do. I even did the fingers. I'm part Italian, but do not have the convo there myself. So yeah, Rose is here today, and she is the owner and founder of Live Streaming Secret Circle. And she is going to be talking about her potential concept for a private podcast. So she doesn't have one yet, folks. We do like to highlight people at all stages of the journey, from thinking about it, curious, to just launched, and to maybe having 100 private podcast feeds. We take them all. So Rose,
thank you.
Welcome.
I appreciate you ladies having me on today.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by and sharing your time with us. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about you and your business, and just kind of set the stage for people listening or watching to learn about your business. And so when Nora and I kind of talk about where we think a private podcast fits, people listening can be like, oh yeah, that's like my business, or here's how my business is a little different.
Thanks. All about me. Woo woo. It's funny because
that's why you come on a show, right?
It's not all about us. It's about the person, right, that we are assisting. So my name is Rose. I also go by Jackson Hole Rose because I do live in beautiful Jackson Hole, Wyoming, which is just underneath Yellowstone National Park. If you didn't know about that little factoid in the United States of America, in the great state of Wyoming. So my business is multifaceted because I do a lot of different things, but I'm honing in on the merging of things because of AI. So one of the things that is very powerful to me is meeting people that in the beginning, they just didn't understand social media. I saw the wave of it coming when it was coming back in 2008, started my business, but I couldn't let go of what I did on the side, which was being an on-camera talent, right, or a host, and also doing voiceover recordings, and also being a live event MC. I also had a syndicated radio show a while back as well, which is why I trademarked my name. So I do a lot of that stuff, right, that on-camera piece, the voice, all those things. But I also have this other piece of how I was doing the social media. But now that social media is kind of a junk show, I think everyone would agree and exclaim, that I see this merging of people being on video, but not just video. I believe that with the rise of AI, that live streaming is going to be our future. So I am all about live streaming. I love to be on camera, helping women specifically move forward on a lot of the blocks that they have, that they think they can't get on camera, or they think they shouldn't be on camera, or they think it's not them, like, no, it's for them, not me, right? So all of these blocks, I move them through, and then also to get them on camera, so that way they have the most wonderful representation of themselves, no matter where they are. They love Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you name it, we do it, right? But it's all about that person and moving them through those blocks.
Love it. Okay, perfect. I have a couple questions because I think this episode is going to be exciting, because as we get to know a little bit more about your audience, as we get to know a little bit more about kind of your business and ultimately where you, like the offer, there's usually one main offer we want to send people to, right? And yes, I know you've got more than one, but there's usually one core offer where, if you look at the traditional marketing, we're trying to bring people in. Most of the time it's people that don't necessarily know you, right? We're looking at if you can nail down the cold traffic to a lead, and then that lead converts to that, to that initial offer, to that core offer, then they can ascend, and, you have a lot of opportunities for expansion revenue after that. But a couple questions to help us understand how best to position a private podcast to help those conversions. First is, I assume most of your ideal audience is a business owner or a creator of some sort. They're online, and they're wanting to use video so that they can monetize something, I assume. Is that true? Is that accurate?
Yes, that's correct. They are product-based, internet only, and women-owned businesses, typically over the age of 35.
Oh, perfect.
Cool.
Okay.
So like e-com, not like digital marketing courses, or when you say
Yes.
product, are you?
Yes, it includes that. Not product per se, in the sense of I'm selling something out of a warehouse, although I can help people like that.
Okay.
I don't typically move in that direction. I typically work with coaches and things of that nature, artists.
Cool. I think the reason why I thought about it is you talking about the rise of live streaming and like TikTok. And I know like TikTok shop is like a whole thing right now. So I was like, oh, maybe she does actually do products. So I'm glad I asked because that's where my head was at.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I mean, gosh, back in the day, like even with ecom, the original live streaming with like QVC and
totally,
all that. But and also as we start to see more creators selling services or selling digital products, like I appreciate and really understand your point of view with live streaming, the importance of live streaming in order to demonstrate that expertise or demonstrate, whatever the framework, all the things that your clients use to help their audience, right? Just to be able for them to see it. So, okay, perfect. So question I would have is, as you look at attracting your ideal audience, what are some of the conversations that you're typically having when you first meet people? So my guess is that they're coming to you because they have a known set. The known problem is I'm not comfortable on live stream, where I don't know, that doesn't sound like me. I think I should do it, but I'm also really hesitant to do it. And so they're probably engaging with your content to see if they can glean, a few of those maybe tidbits or insights to help them feel better about it or feel more confident about it. But I'm curious if there's a couple things that come to mind.
And the reason why I focus on women specifically is because of this fact. A lot of women are not comfortable with how they look on camera. And they start to nitpick and they start to say, well, I hate this, I hate that, right? So these are the types of blocks that I work through. I literally have women tell me, Rose, I don't want to be on camera because I'm fat. I need to lose like 40 pounds. And I'm like, honey, like, let's talk, let's bust through this myth, right? Able to get her through that. And she was like, I don't care. She went, viral on TikTok with her story. And she realized there was a method that I use that, is trademarked to move them through this particular piece, because there are things about us being on camera and the reverse image, right? And how we're used to looking at our face in a mirror or, listening to our voice. If we're not used to it, we might not like the sound of it. Oh gosh, this is not for me, right? So I hear a lot of feedback from women. There's something about themselves. My nose is crooked. I don't like the way this looks. I'm too big, or whatever it is. It's usually about the way they look.
And I love the fact that you also, one thing I want to highlight for the listeners is that you just said you have voiceover experience as well. So a lot of our audience who do that appreciate the convenience of audio, in the sense that they can record in their pajamas and, it could be at 1 a.m. and no one is seeing them. But we still have people that will be hesitant because of the way their voice sounds too. So it's funny. It's like we can come up with all sorts of excuses no matter what medium you're using to record your content. But I think that also helps in terms of how you're able to build trust and really develop this connection with your ideal client, because they've likely even if they haven't tried video, they can experience this. Like,
that's right.
Yeah,
and there's
I really
lots of different ways to start, like just recording for yourself, watching them for yourself. It doesn't have to be public, but you start small with these ways that people go, oh gosh, like maybe your listeners right now are like, I feel like in the new year, I want to do more on camera, maybe not a ton, but a little bit. How would I try? Right? These are the types of steps that I move people through.
I love it. Like, yeah, getting them to take that first step and getting them out there. Or for the folks that did maybe take that first step and they misstepped, or they're like, nah, I never mind. And kind of, took one step forward and, maybe 3 steps back. Okay. So with that in mind, I look at how that initial conversation starters, the way we're engaging at the very top of the funnel, right? The very initial conversation that you're having with people. And it sounds like those people are already aware that they want to be on camera more, whether they're using the word live stream or not. It sounds like, I know that I want to be on camera more. And so they're looking to you in your content to help them accomplish that. Like they want to leverage video a little bit more than they currently do. Would that be pretty accurate?
Yes, that's accurate. There's also people out there unaware, right? That they're going on
Yes.
camera and they're doing all the things, but they're not making an impact because it might have something to do with their message, their voice itself, like repelling people. So there's all different types, like I'm drawn to the women that are on camera that have, let's say, like vocal fry. They talk like this and they don't know that they're doing it. But these types of women, I have to approach them in a different way, right? Because they are getting on camera. They do have a wonderful business, that they have this voice. It's just, it needs a little bit more power to it to make that punch.
Okay, perfect. This is great because it helps highlight how many options you have in terms of that conversation starter. The biggest, when we look at marketing and the way to lead with empathy, the way those conversation starters are typically going to be the highest converting, it's always meeting them where they're at. And so if you've got people who are already doing videos and those videos are not converting, or they don't feel comfortable with them, or they're not as impactful, or they're getting views, or but not really converting views, that message, like, you would start that conversation a little bit differently than someone who is like, oh, I really feel like I need to be on camera because I understand how impactful it can be to be on camera, and I'm just not comfortable with it. Versus someone who is going about their business not including video at all, and they haven't even realized that being on camera has benefits to them, right? So, like, all these different places where we can start having the conversation, we can't start in all of them. We have to choose one to start with, and then what you can do is you can create different lead magnets or different assets to essentially meet people in these different places. And so I look at what is the biggest opportunity that you have, like the biggest segment of your audience, would you say, or even the people, like you said, that you like working with the most? Are the people who are already creating videos, but they're just not really maybe doing it that well, or they could be more impactful? Or is it the people who haven't yet started creating videos because they're a little bit nervous or there's some blocks in the way?
That's such a hard choice.
And it's only the choice of where we're
two
starting.
Different types of people, right?
Correct.
I do want the business women to be established, right? So that they've already created. I'm not working with a startup per se, because they have a lot of things going on. This woman has made money before. She is successful in her business. She knows that the next step is to put her face of her business on camera, which is her, right? And so she either toys with it a little bit, or she rejects it completely. Oh, that's not for me. Or she thinks she's too old, these types of things. So I would say it is a person that knows that it is the next step, but and it's not like they're going to vomit before they go on camera, because that's a different type of person.
That's a different,
I can help them too, but I typically don't help people like that. It is the woman who knows in her heart, in her soul, because she's watching everyone else do it, that it's time for her to do it next.
Okay, perfect. That is it. I love the specificity here, and there's a couple things. Then I asked, why is she not doing it? So usually, and this is where we can have multiple reasons why, right? It could be, it feels really hard, right? Or I've convinced myself that I don't have time to do this. Like, I don't have enough time because it's going to take forever to record something. Or it could be that I don't like my appearance. It could be that I don't like my voice. It could be, something I don't have the space, the physical space. I don't like my space in the laundry baskets that may or may not be in the background. It could be, right, there's lots of reasons why. And I think that the biggest thing that we can do here is create, like, if it were me, I could absolutely see you leveraging a private podcast to start that conversation. The conversation that's happening here is like, why aren't they starting? And it could be something like three shifts that you need to feel more natural on camera, or the 5 most common reasons people or don't ever show up on camera or whatever that is, like, because they know that they want to. That's the goal. Like if they're sitting here thinking, I know I need to show up on camera, or you could pick one of those and say, the 10-minute solution. Like you could play on the time piece of it. Like I don't have enough time or it's really difficult. So you can play on ease and convenience or the amount of time it's going to take. But this is where you get to have a lot of fun with that lead magnet, because now you can start the conversation with where they're at, thinking like, oh, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And through your content and through your voice, you help them have so you're leading with empathy, you're helping them have the epiphany that actually isn't the real problem, that isn't a problem at all, because it doesn't take as much time. It is easier than you might think. And not just saying it, but helping to demonstrate it so that they have buy-in. This is probably the biggest mistake I see in lead magnets across the board, audio or not, is that we tell people, we're like, oh, you're doing this and it sucks. And like, I hear you, and we're leading with empathy. And a lot of people do a great job. And they're like, here's your problem. And they say, boom, here's your problem. And everyone's like, wait, what? What? And they don't believe it, because we just tell them it's their problem instead of showing them that it's their problem. And you can do that because you've clearly worked with other people. You've helped other people be on camera. So you can tell, obviously you can change personal details to protect privacy, but you can share stories. You can share your own story. There's a lot of ways that you can help people come to that realization and have buy-in that, yes, this is the problem. And oh my goodness, you are the exact person that I want to help me solve this problem. That's what a great lead magnet does. And because of the way your audience has these different objections, but if the main thing is if the goal is I need to get myself on camera, and then they tell themselves all these stories or they have these false beliefs about why they're not doing it, that's the content that lead magnet can then address. And then by giving them that path forward, which obviously would be working with you in whatever that core offer is next, whether, we want to send them to, the video assessment, if they're already making videos, or, whatever that next step is for them. I think that's a great use of a private podcast for your business.
And I think I'm close, or at least, I was starting to use it as a free lead magnet, which was, don't say that live on camera. And then people are like, what am I doing? I need to make sure I'm not doing these. So I've actually had people write to me and say, Rose, this was really useful. Thank you so much. And then, of course, at the bottom, it says, schedule a call for me and I will introduce you to, because what I do is very specific, but it's also very sensitive, right? Like, I can't just tell a woman, you got vocal fry, honey, like, we need to change you up, because she's like, what? I don't even know what.
Right.
Oh my gosh, I'm terrible. Like, I have to have a certain tact when I work with people to explain to them, because this is about them, their persona, their representation on camera. And so I like to be very sensitive in that nature to that, in that the way I describe it to them, like, let me introduce you to your number one block, or like, what's blocking you from getting more clients in, because maybe they have a nervous tick. They're doing this, in the video, and they don't even know it. Some people, they do this. They, they pick their fingers, or who knows. It can be anything that can lead them away, and they're not aware. So that's why I like to include that with the don't say that, and maybe instead of live, just say, don't say that on camera, right? It's things like saying, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Right? Those types of things. Where people are like, oh yeah, I really shouldn't do that.
Oh yeah. I love that. That's a great curiosity-based hook, right? And I think you could absolutely have a lead magnet that says the 10 things you should never say live on camera. And then people who are like, oh my goodness, I've been thinking about going live on camera, and I better download this because I really don't want to mess up, because I don't know a lot about going live on camera or being live on camera. And oh my, like I need to know what that is. And not only that, you could actually take the things not to say, but then you could actually introduce them to your system and your framework for being more confident and knowing, having a plan and not flying by the seat of their pants, so that it does always feel easy and simple. Because right now, a lot of what I'm hearing is for your target audience, it probably doesn't feel easy and simple. It feels incredibly overwhelming and terrifying for many of them. And that hook and that lead magnet could help them see the next step, the next logical step is to work with you to help them, to not only just create one video and not say these 10 things, but to create hundreds of
Yes.
videos and feel
I
like
mean,
they
if you
have a
think that's
repeatable
strong
system
enough,
to
if
do
there's
it.
something else that you think that I could use that's stronger out of all the free lead magnets that I've, put together, that seems to be the strongest I have.
I love it. That evidence, I would follow that evidence.
Mhm.
Yeah. If you've got numbers to back that up, I would start with that. The cool thing about a private podcast, and I mean, for you sound like you probably have tons of video that you could repurpose for this. You could literally drag and drop a video into Hello Audio and we'll convert it to audio for you. And so, and I know video is great. And that's the one thing, we really haven't talked about a lot yet on this show is that we're not anti-video. We think video is amazing. And we also recognize that not everyone has time to watch a full video. Like audio sometimes can fit into those little pockets of time when we're driving and our eyes should be on the road. Or, you're in the checkout line at the grocery store, or you're folding clothes. Sometimes audio can reach people in a way that allows you to leverage those pockets of time. And the importance, I mean, I don't have to tell you, it's like speaking to the choir, right? Or preaching to the choir. Like, the importance of voice and how that creates the intimacy with someone and the connection with someone. And so it does allow you to introduce yourself and your values, and they get to hear your voice in their ears. And then, allowing them to invite them. And maybe then the call to action for you is to watch one of your videos after that private podcast so that they can see you and put a voice to the face. And then, being able to invite them to work with you further. I do think that's a really, really strong hook. And if you have evidence that has converted well for you, I would start there. And then you have plenty of other options that you can choose, even to add on to it. And it's like, in addition to, you don't ever have to, I would choose to start with one and then you can always add on.
That said, it doesn't have to be this or that. It can be this and that.
Yes. It's always the sequence. It's like, just try not to create 3 things at once. But no, if that's where I think people get slowed down. But no, I really do like this hook. I think the 10 things you should never say. And then I think the way you position that is you've had years of experience as a coach. You have years of experience on, speaking. I think your authority and your expertise and experience in this field allows someone to really pay attention to that and say, oh, versus a 16-year-old that says, here's 10 things you should never say on camera. And they're like, okay, whatever. That's good. Yeah, I'm glad. Like, what am I supposed to say? 6, 7, like whatever. But like, I think there's
I just learned that the other day.
Oh yeah. That's a big one. But I think that's a great way to position you in a way that builds instant authority and helps them take that next logical step with someone with your credentials.
Okay.
I love it. What do you think? What do you think in terms of lead? I think lead magnet is the way I would go here.
Agreed. Yeah. And I think what's kind of interesting about this is it flips its head a little bit, because it's like, you're a video person, you're teaching video. So like, of course you should make a video series. And I think for us, Nora brought up the convenience of it, but like, there's also just this idea that I think on YouTube, what's cool about YouTube is like, it's definitely like a search, engine, and people can find your video and then they could binge all your videos. And I think it is important to be bingeable nowadays, right? And I think that's also going to be very important in 2026. And so, but as I look at YouTube and its bingeability, it's only as bingeable as that pocket of time is for that person. And so usually, depending on who your market is, like, they're probably not spending hours on YouTube. And so there are certain, people that do spend a lot of time on it. And so as I think about that, it's like they can find you because they're looking for an answer. But then if you give them a private podcast, you're actually giving them another option. Whereas maybe they find you and they listen to it and they click on a link and they're like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I learned something, but like, are they going to hit subscribe? I don't know. Again, I'm not a YouTuber, so I'm not here to teach you any of that. But if you're looking at it, because I am seeing a lot of people teaching YouTube as a client attraction tool, and it's not about 1 million subscribers. You're not trying to make money by like viewer time. You're trying to make sure you get found on that platform, and someone who's watching it wants like more of what you do. And sure, they could binge a couple videos, but I also think offering that private podcast, like that they can take with them, where you're giving them the mindset shifts, like Nora's focusing on, you're like making them, I've never heard anyone talk about it like that. That person is going to be like, I'm in, in a way that might be missed. The opportunity might be missed on YouTube, particularly, especially if there's no other CTA like on your channel. And I'm not saying that there isn't for you, and we haven't really talked about that, but I think for me, actually, just having this conversation is making me think about YouTube strategy and like, why would someone do a private podcast? You know what I mean? And so this always helps me solidify like my line of thinking, I think, when I like coach people through stuff like this. And so I could totally see someone, stumbling on your videos, going to your website, and then taking the podcast to go. That's like how I always view that. And why not hit people in multiple places? Like, I know YouTube wants you to keep them on YouTube, but I think sometimes our type of content, it's like, authority content, like that kind of stuff. We're not entertainment content. We're not like, you know what I mean? We're not the stuff my son watches. Like it's different. And so like, we're not Miss Rachel. So when I think about it like that, I'm like, okay, yeah, what does this next step look like? And why is it okay for someone to be a camera person and also offer a private podcast? My little side rant / I also do my own thinking and talking with other people. And so I'm making these connections right now. But yeah, I think a lead magnet makes sense for you. And I think, Nora, too, another thing we could mention too is like creating a private podcast. As much as you're going to tell people it's easy to also do video is really easy. And so you can change that hook. You can add, episodes if you're finding it's not converting. And it feels like it's easier to change a private podcast because you can kind of just like speak what you want to speak and then drop it in really quick versus going to Canva and having to redesign a page because this isn't useful anymore. YouTube changed their whatever, right? You can just change out the audio and it changes in everyone's feed already. And so I think it's a great experimental thing too, to like release to your current list and the current people that follow you, see how many people you get opting in. Follow up in email. What's one cool thing about Hello Audio is we have like a super listener score. And so if you have somebody who's binging it, you can start to see like who might like hot leads might be. And depending on how you have your business set up, there's possibly an opportunity for you to reach out to them. And I think in the early days of a new lead magnet and kind of like a new traffic study, as you're like experimenting, talking to those people, those first listeners is going to be huge, and gauging like, how the content is landing for them is going to be huge, because that's then going to hopefully inform like any changes you might want to make or like how you want to scale it or something like that.
Yes. And to be honest,
Nora has her thinking face on.
What
Go
you
ahead.
both do in the sense of coaching. And I've shied away from it just because it's such a sensitive subject. I mean, obviously I would get their buy-in and everything, but I think the coaching on that type of thing might be too scary. And I'm not sure if there would be much interest in that.
Yeah, I think it all depends on your ideal client and what they're searching for. I think some high achieving women want someone, and it's all the coach style you resonate with, right? I mean, not everyone's looking for the Army boot camp, drill instructor or drill sergeant person. And I do think there's something to be said about someone who can lay it out for you in a way that feels empathetic and supportive. And so like I could see like two more things I'll say too that you could also do with private podcasts is with your private clients. I know you do VIP days and I know you work with folks one-on-one. We have a lot of consultants and coaches who will use a private podcast with their one-on-one clients. Even like therapists will do this as well because it's a private link and it goes right to that person. And so if you had someone that you were working with where things were a little sensitive and you were working with them one-on-one, you could absolutely do pep talks for them in a way that like when you hire that right coach that can help you navigate through some of those blocks, those mindset blocks, right? And I do think like with your your voice and the way it comes across as like so compassionate, because I know it. I mean, you could feel that you care about your clients, right? And I think that there's something to be said about that. That could also just be a standalone series that you offer your group folks or what. It's like, hey, you get this, here's my top 20 or top 10 pep talks to help you when you're getting ready. Like, they could just hit play while they're getting ready for a live. You know what I mean? Like, there's things that you could do where they still can hear your voice and hear how much you support them and how much you care about them. Even through some of those sensitive topics, I think could be really, really valuable for your client.
Yes, I had that idea of doing more of a, let's see, kind of like a walkthrough, listening, transformational, just a few minute thing to relax them before they go on camera. But I hadn't thought about pep talks, so that's great.
Yeah, that could be really good too. Like, take the anxiety level down and then get excited, because you're right. It's like that scared fear of like excitement energy, like frantic energy versus like the relaxed energy is very different in how that shows up on camera. I like that. And with private podcasts, the one thing we didn't really note is a lot of folks that do visual content will use the show notes in a private podcast, to put links to video. So for example, like, you could absolutely do something where you do like a sneak peek behind the scenes of you getting ready, like how I prep for video, and that link could be in the show notes. So you could always have, like, you don't have to choose between audio or video. You could have the duality of having both and access to both, which I like for your audience too, because that way they can leverage those pockets of time when video isn't the right move for them because they're driving or something like that. And, still tap into the value that they obviously put on video because they're investing in you and your program. So you have a few options. I love the lead magnet. If your goal is like, I need more audience, I want to get more people in my programs, let's go. I would say lead magnet is something I would prioritize. But your existing clients and serving them, like these pep talks, recordings, you could drop recordings in a private podcast as an episode, so that it's just, because, sometimes you have a really great coach, and they drop gold. And it's like at, I don't know, like the 30-minute mark of an hour call. And you're like, I'm not going to watch that video, like the whole, because I don't have an hour, but I can like fast forward and just get to that point. But then having your coaching in their pocket 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, where they could, if they're in a car waiting in a carpool line, they could pull that episode up and just know where to go. That could be really valuable for them is an easy way to just consume it or repeat it, so that they can absorb it in a way that they might need to hear it 7 or 8 times.
I know I have to do that for myself all the time. 7 or 8 times till it breaks through. Great. Right? Thank you for that. I'm just like, writing it down as we go. Just kind of
I love
typing
that.
it along. They're great ideas.
I'm excited. There's so much potential for you to leverage. I mean, and I know, like, I think I saw on your site, you had like an ebook. We have folks that turn ebooks into audio, and they still have the ebook there, but it's just your narration of it, because you can add so much more to it with your expertise and your context and stories. Like, you can bring that ebook to life in a way that probably most people couldn't with your experience and your background. So like, I'm excited because you have a lot of options for how you can leverage private podcasts to grow your business, for sure.
Great.
Awesome. This is fun.
Cool. Yeah, this was fun. Is there anything else that you're hanging on to? It feels like we made some good progress, and this was a fun conversation for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I have my little list of ideas and things to kind of move on and just kind of do the busting through to get people lively on my feed, right? Because I believe live streaming is it's like an immersive experience is what makes it different than just a recording, right? Yes, the immersive can come. Yes. It's more of like, newspaper, one way, magazine, one way, social media, 2-way, but not immediate unless it's live streaming. Someone were talking to us right now and said, oh, Rose, what about this? Then I could answer that question in the moment for that person. So I love how things can be more exploratory and immersive, right, with that experience. And so I'll always look to see how I can involve people more in, like, women in a group. That's why the live streaming secret circle is just for women. Because if I were to introduce a man into a group of women talking about being on camera, I think that wouldn't go so well. But that's not to say I don't work with men. That's why I offer the one-to-one, or people that want to work faster or that just prefer private. So this has been a really interesting conversation about podcasting and having that kind of in your pocket, which I kind of like that thought.
Nice. Well, thanks for coming and sharing. And yeah, we'll have you as a case study once this takes off.
Awesome. Thank you. If there's anything that I can do to assist you ladies, please let me know.
Of course.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Take
Okay.
care.
Ciao.